spaz. And I am sporting, I'm really not flipping you off, but I am sporting the bandage that I have on from having my surgery yesterday. I promised an update on this. And I will address the middle finger here in just a second. But the last time I talked to you, I was slated for CMC arthroplasty, which is here at the base of the thumb where they took out the trapezium and harvested some tendon from my forearm and coiled it up to create a filler for that deficit left behind by the trapezium, the arthritic trapezium bone that had to be removed. And then scar tissue will fill that in, and I will be hopefully asymptomatic after that. So yesterday I had the surgery at a Portland ambulatory surgery center, and my Kaiser orthopedic surgeon, who was just fantastic, really the entire staff over there at Kaiser Permanente Northwest's ambulatory surgery center. I can't say enough good things about them. You know, it's an environment I used to work in all the time, but that was a long time ago. Not at that particular surgery center, but you know what I mean. So, but it was just as good of an experience as it could be. It was. That's a weird way to say that, but from the pre-op nurses to the anesthesiologist to Dr. Green, my surgeon, and the staff there but high praise for all of them. So I wanted to take this time to document the journey so far because the YouTube videos that I have watched previous to my own procedure for the CMC arthroplasty were spot on. And I appreciate all those folks who made those videos, and I want to contribute to that collection by telling you about my experience and documenting it going further. So, you know, CMC arthritis, the prevalence of it is like 30%, 20 to 30% in males, and much more common in females for some reason. I don't know why. But basically it has to be repaired at some point because you lose the ability to function without pain in your hand. Now, I have two kinds of arthritis, a non-specified inflammatory arthritis of the digits of the fingers, and then regular old wear and tear arthritis that we all get if we live long enough in the base of my thumbs. And that was the primary reason for having the CMC arthroplasty. Now, when I went in for my pre-op, I mentioned in the last video on Instagram, I believe, that I had spoken to my surgeon about also possibly fusing the distal interphalangeal joint in my third digit, the one that's so gloriously exposed right now. And he was all for it, for doing both procedures at the same time if we had enough time in the surgery schedule, because it had been booked long in advance. And so yesterday during the pre-op, I asked him to consider it once again. I had only been consented for the CMC arthroplasty, but he said, let me go see if they have the headless screw that I need to do that. And so he disappeared for a while, and then he came back and gave me the thumbs up and created a whole new consent form for both procedures, which I signed readily, and then we were off to the races. So the Versed cocktail that they gave me while just shortly before they wheeled me into the operating room, and the propofol that they gave me for anesthesia gave me some, retrograde amnesia, which means that although I was awake when I went into the operating theater, and I imagine that I helped scoot over onto the table and then I drifted off to sleep, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember anything past the gurney opening the doors to the operating room, and then I woke up in post-op. So both procedures were a success, and my girlfriend Tammy was there to help, and apparently she had to dress me like a toddler. I have no memory of that whatsoever. I do remember the ride home somewhat. I know she wanted to take me for coffee because anyone who knows me knows that I appreciate a good cup of coffee. And we were going to go to my favorite coffee shop, De Taza, here in Vancouver, Washington. But they were already closed, apparently because I had the two procedures. I had to be in post-op a little bit longer because of the excess anesthesia they had to give me. And so I was kind of slow waking up. I think I was in post-op for about 2 hours, and I don't remember any of it. The one thing that did not occur that I found out pre-op, actually in the pre-op area yesterday when I was speaking with the anesthesiologist, was that she was not going to do an arm block where they go in just underneath the clavicle here, and they get the clavicular nerve, which becomes the brachial plexus and innervates the whole arm. In some of the past videos, I have heard that some patients actually have the complete arm block, but her preference was not to, and so was my surgeon, Dr. Green's preference. So he just told me he was going to give me some local around the wrist, around the incision site, and that would be it. So I kind of figured I was in for a wild night, and that's exactly what I was in for. So we got home. I live alone, and so Tammy brought me here, and we set up an ice machine, a circulating ice water machine that I have, and for swelling. And I don't remember much after that, except at some point I went to bed, and she went home to her home. And I just remember last night I was sleeping very soundly, but each time I would wake up, it would be an hour later. And I felt like I'd slept all night. And I think that was just the residual effects of the propofol. And interestingly enough, the last time I had surgery was about 5 years ago when they fused this index finger. I'll show you. I keep telling everybody that I'm turning into a brontosaurus because it looks like a brontosaurus to me, this one here. Anyway, it's fused at an angle, whereas the third finger is fused straight because there is no hardware to remove. It's permanent, so that's fine with me. Anyway, the last time I did that, I don't know if they used an LMA device. Now, an LMA device they consider it general anesthesia, but they don't have to intubate you, which means they don't have to, put that big tracheal scope down your throat into your trachea and then pass a tube down and inflate it. What they do now is it's a lingual type of, it's just beyond the base of the tongue. It's not all the way down in the trachea. So I can see why that's beneficial, because I think they do have a cuff around it that inflates. And so I did wake up with a sore throat, way down here at the base of my throat. It's gone this morning. So, but they have to breathe for you. And so they accomplish it with the LMA device rather than a full intubation. I was really hoping I wouldn't be intubated, and I didn't need to be, even though I have asthma. And anyway, but they did that, and they performed both procedures. And so I was in recovery for about 2 hours, and the surgery center closes, I think, at 5. And so I just remember being like rushed out of recovery. But it was anything but being rushed because I'd been there for 2 hours. I think people just wanted to go home. And so I addressed me like I was a toddler or something. And I remember walking here to my apartment from the parking lot where Tammy parked while she opened up the house. And she was going to walk with me, but I felt like I was stable enough. This morning on the phone, she's told me I was pretty wobbly the whole time, but I didn't fall down, so I'm okay. And I had my arm propped up all night, but I will tell you, so because I didn't have the arm block, the night was pretty painful. And it was painful all night long until I got up out of bed at about 4:20 this morning, because I didn't want to lay down anymore. Pardon me. I did sleep a few hours, and I would sleep at about 20 minutes at a time and then wake up with pain. So I got up and, they gave me oxycodone for pain. I took one of those when I got home last night, or yesterday afternoon. And then I took another one at midnight. And I don't think they're that effective. So I just stopped. I stopped taking it. I did take a stool softener each time that I took an oxy, but so I think I have about 8 or 10, something like that, but I've only used 2, and I'm not going to use them again. I find better pain relief actually by staggering both. 4 hours later, I took 2 650 Tylenols, and by staggering the dosage, because they work differently, the mechanism for the drugs working on pain is different. You can stagger them about every 4 hours because the dosage for both of them is every 8 hours. An NSAID for, once every 8 hours, and you're only taking Tylenol once every 8 hours. And so I've counseled patients in the past to do that, so I knew that would probably work. And as I sit here today, it's 10:03 in the morning. On Thursday, my surgery was about 11:30 yesterday, so about 24 hours. I am sitting here right now and I'm not having any pain whatsoever. You'd think I would be with all this contraption on here. Now, I added the black Coban without compression. I wrapped it this morning. There's cotton batting and then the splint, and then there's the ace bandage that they wrap around. I know that when I take a shower a little bit later, I will put on a waterproof cast protector, and it has a big elastic, like rubber, it's about this thick, cuff that goes around the bicep area. And I've been told in YouTube videos from other patients, thank you very much, Tony, who shared this, he said, when you take it off, it's going to mess up the ace bandage. So I put Coban around my ace bandage to help minimize that. And so hopefully everything's going to work well. That's the update for now. I will be in this contraption here for 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks, I'll go in to get the sutures or staples out. I'm pretty sure it's sutures at this point. And then I'll be put in a cast. And I'll update you then as to how it's been for the last 2 weeks and any limitations. They did tell me I can't drive for at least 2 weeks. So if you're having this procedure in the future, you need to arrange for transportation somehow. If you're working or, hopefully you have a family member who's nearby who can drive. But if you are, so just be aware of that. So you may have to take other forms of transportation. I'm hoping to walk outside this afternoon, but I don't want to push it. But I do want to be active. I want to, keep up my walking and stuff. So maybe when Tammy comes over later, we can go for a walk and just get some fresh air and get moving again. So that's the update. Sorry for flipping you all off, but I will update you in another couple of weeks. And if you want to know anything more about what's going on between now and then, you can check out my Instagram at Barry Baz Morris, and you can find me there. Okay, I'll update some shorter videos there over the next 2 weeks. All right, good luck to you guys who are in the market for this CMC surgery. I'm very happy that I had both of these procedures done at the same time, because you can imagine what it would be like to go through this process again just to have that joint fused and have to repeat that whole rigmarole. So in 4 months, I will have the left hand done. I still have my red Coban on from the IV. I didn't clip it off, and I can't clip it off using this hand, and I can't do it with this hand either. So it'll come off a little bit later today, I assume. All right, so you guys take care, and